Part of it is rooted in the country's past. After World War II, Germany lay in ruins. Cities had been bombed to rubble, families were rebuilding their lives brick by brick, and public opinion was wary of anything that looked like arrogance. Flaunting riches while neighbors queued for bread would have been in terrible taste. A quiet, careful approach to money became a social shield, a way to show solidarity with a recovering nation. Over the decades, that modesty solidified into an unspoken code: if you're fortunate, don't shout about it. Blend in, stay useful, and let your work speak louder than your wallet. This thinking still shapes the behavior of old money dynasties and fresh-minted tycoons alike. Even those who made their fortunes in software or biotech tend to inherit the same values: keep your profile low, and your influence steady. Within boardrooms and private dining rooms, you'll hear phrases like, seriositat vor glamour, seriousness over glamour. Respect is earned not through diamond-studded watches but through reliability, quiet competence, and a reputation for putting the company's long-term health ahead of personal ego. One of the clearest signs of this discretion is how many of Germany's wealthy avoid the circus of social media. Instagram accounts? Often private or non-existent. TikTok dances? Not a chance. Instead of broadcasting brunches and jet-set weekends, heirs and heiresses invest their energy in something sturdier: running family businesses, funding medical research, restoring historic buildings, or sponsoring scholarships for students who might otherwise be locked out of opportunity. Hospitals, museums, and entire university departments quietly thrive thanks to anonymous donors who see no need for a plaque bearing their names. Security is another powerful motivator. In the 1970s, a series of kidnappings involving the children of industrialists shocked the country. The message was clear: exposure makes you a target. That memory lingers even among younger generations who weren't alive back then. It explains why billionaires here prefer unbranded clothing, modest sedans, and offices without shiny logos on the door. When they travel, they often slip through airports wearing baseball caps and carrying plain luggage, blending into crowds like any other passenger catching a flight. There's also a cultural preference for structure and order, qualities central to German identity. Excessive self-promotion is often read as careless or unserious. A leader who brags too loudly risks losing the trust of employees, partners, or the public. By contrast, a calm, low-key image suggests reliability: someone who will keep promises, weather crises, and protect livelihoods. For a billionaire overseeing tens of thousands of jobs, that reputation is worth more than the flashiest sports car. Part of it is rooted in the country's past. After World War II, Germany lay in ruins. Cities had been bombed to rubble, families were rebuilding their lives brick by brick, and public opinion was wary of anything that looked like arrogance. Flaunting riches while neighbors queued for bread would have been in terrible taste. A quiet, careful approach to money became a social shield, a way to show solidarity with a recovering nation. Over the decades, that modesty solidified into an unspoken code: if you're fortunate, don't shout about it. Blend in, stay useful, and let your work speak louder than your wallet. This thinking still shapes the behavior of old money dynasties and fresh-minted tycoons alike. Even those who made their fortunes in software or biotech tend to inherit the same values: keep your profile low, and your influence steady. Within boardrooms and private dining rooms, you'll hear phrases like, seriositat vor glamour, seriousness over glamour. Respect is earned not through diamond-studded watches but through reliability, quiet competence, and a reputation for putting the company's long-term health ahead of personal ego. One of the clearest signs of this discretion is how many of Germany's wealthy avoid the circus of social media. Instagram accounts? Often private or non-existent. TikTok dances? Not a chance. Instead of broadcasting brunches and jet-set weekends, heirs and heiresses invest their energy in something sturdier: running family businesses, funding medical research, restoring historic buildings, or sponsoring scholarships for students who might otherwise be locked out of opportunity. Hospitals, museums, and entire university departments quietly thrive thanks to anonymous donors who see no need for a plaque bearing their names. Security is another powerful motivator. In the 1970s, a series of kidnappings involving the children of industrialists shocked the country. The message was clear: exposure makes you a target. That memory lingers even among younger generations who weren't alive back then. It explains why billionaires here prefer unbranded clothing, modest sedans, and offices without shiny logos on the door. When they travel, they often slip through airports wearing baseball caps and carrying plain luggage, blending into crowds like any other passenger catching a flight. There's also a cultural preference for structure and order, qualities central to German identity. Excessive self-promotion is often read as careless or unserious. A leader who brags too loudly risks losing the trust of employees, partners, or the public. By contrast, a calm, low-key image suggests reliability, someone who will keep promises, weather crises, and protect livelihoods. For a billionaire overseeing tens of thousands of jobs, that reputation is worth more than the flashiest sports car. There's also a social dimension. German society values modesty and balance. Flashy self-promotion is often seen as bad manners. A billionaire bragging about a new jet might earn frowns rather than admiration. In boardrooms and at dinner tables, understatement signals seriousness, professionalism, and respect for others. To fit in, even at the highest levels, you're expected to blend rather than boast. This quiet ethos shapes how fortunes are managed. Old money families often keep businesses private instead of listing them publicly, preferring stability over the roller coaster of stock markets. New money entrepreneurs, meanwhile, frequently reinvest profits into research labs, clean energy projects, or affordable housing developments instead of funneling everything into luxury toys. Philanthropy is another outlet. Many billionaires fund scholarships, hospitals, or cultural institutions, but they tend to do so anonymously or through foundations that stay off the front page. Together, these old dynasties and new titans form a distinct upper class, one that holds enormous power yet remains almost invisible to outsiders. Their fortunes shape industries, provide jobs, and influence trends across Europe and beyond, but their names are often unknown to the public. That invisibility isn't accidental, it's an intentional choice, a protective layer between their private lives and a world that might otherwise devour them. So, where exactly do Germany's billionaires hide? If you're picturing Beverly Hills mansions with paparazzi parked out front, think again. German fortunes are often tucked inside landscapes that seem almost sleepy at first glance. Bavaria, with its rolling hills and crystal blue lakes, is a favorite. Hamburg's leafy suburbs, lined with centuries-old villas, quietly host shipping magnates and retail heirs. Around Berlin and Potsdam, sleek lakefront estates sit behind thick curtains of forest, offering quick access to the capital yet total privacy once the gates close. Some choose heritage properties, medieval castles carefully restored to blend turrets and moats with climate-controlled wine cellars and state-of-the-art security. Others prefer the cool minimalism of modern architecture, low, wide homes with glass walls, infinity pools, and private art galleries tucked below ground. The key is discretion. Even the most extravagant homes often appear subdued from the outside, their luxury revealed only once you step through the door. Philanthropy fits neatly into this ethos. Donations tend to flow through foundations with quiet names, or via endowments that only specialists know about. A new wing at a hospital might carry a generic title like Research Pavilion rather than Smith Family Hall. The aim is to serve, not to advertise. Even at charity galas, guests prefer candlelit dinners and hushed speeches over camera crews and confetti. To outsiders, this understatement can look dull, even puzzling. Where's the drama, the sparkle, the reality TV lifestyle? But for the super-rich in Germany, invisibility is more than just comfort, it's a strategy. It shields them from envy, protects their families, and lets them move through the world without constantly performing for an audience. It's the ultimate power move, enjoying influence and resources while remaining free from scrutiny. That's not to say these billionaires live joyless lives. They host private concerts in centuries-old halls, collect rare wines, or spend weekends flying vintage planes, but always within trusted circles, far from prying eyes. Their satisfaction comes from knowing they can savor these pleasures without sacrificing safety or dignity. In a global age where luxury is often louder than achievement, Germany's wealthy have written a different rulebook. To keep what matters most, family, freedom, and peace of mind, they choose a softer voice. Their discretion isn't a lack of ambition, it's a sign that they've already won. So why should we care about Germany's discreet billionaires? Because their decisions reach far beyond the high walls of their estates. They are not just quiet guardians of family fortunes, they are powerful engines shaping the country's future, and, in many cases, the future of whole industries around the world. These are the people funding the next generation of clean energy companies, betting on hydrogen power or advanced solar panels that could change how we live. They are reshaping the way cars are designed, pushing forward electric mobility and sustainable materials in luxury vehicles. Their foundations keep some of Europe's best theaters, museums, and research institutes alive, giving artists, scholars, and scientists the breathing room to create and innovate. Thousands of jobs, from engineers to vineyard workers, depend on the stability these fortunes provide. Their measured approach to wealth has ripple effects, too. While other global elites may swing from one flashy trend to the next, Germany's richest tend to play a long game. They reinvest profits into businesses, apprenticeships, and new technologies, nurturing growth that lasts for decades. For the broader economy, this steady hand can act as an anchor during turbulent times, offering reassurance that not every major decision is made for quick headlines or instant gratification. Imagine this: you're walking through a quiet German town at dawn. The streets are cobblestoned, washed clean by the night's rain. A warm scent drifts from a bakery where the day's first loaves are sliding out of brick ovens. Cyclists glide past with baskets full of fresh rolls, their bells chiming softly in the cool morning air. Everything feels calm, safe, almost timeless, the kind of place where nothing big ever happens. But just beyond what you can see lies another Germany, one most people will never glimpse. Behind high hedges trimmed with mathematical precision and gates made of centuries-old oak live some of Europe's richest families. Their houses don't scream wealth, they whisper it. Mansions hide behind ivy-covered walls, lakefront villas sit tucked between forests, and medieval castles have been transformed into homes with private art galleries and wine cellars buried beneath ancient stone. Unlike the showy luxury you might associate with Hollywood or Dubai, Germany's billionaires practice an art few have mastered, the art of being invisible. They control car companies, chemical empires, and world-famous fashion houses. They own private islands in the Baltic and collections of rare paintings that could fill museums. Yet you won't see them flashing jewelry on red carpets or filling Instagram with selfies from private jets. Why? Because in Germany, money is meant to whisper, not shout. The country carries a cultural memory that wealth, when flaunted, can divide or even endanger. Decades ago, kidnappings of prominent heirs made headlines, reminding everyone that fame could be a liability. Over time, a new philosophy took root among the affluent: the richer you are, the less you should let people know. Step inside their world and you'll find a quiet kind of luxury. A billionaire might drive an unassuming black sedan instead of a neon sports car, or slip through airports wearing jeans and a baseball cap, blending into the crowd. Their children often attend public schools or small private academies rather than being whisked off in limousines. Dinners are held in candlelit rooms away from photographers, and charity donations are written anonymously, with no need for a spotlight. This culture of discretion shapes everything, from how they decorate their homes to how they build businesses. The wealthiest Germans often reinvest profits into companies that last for generations, preferring steady growth over risky headlines. They see privacy as not just a personal choice, but a sign of stability and respect for their communities. And that's what makes their story so intriguing. We live in an age where everyone seems eager to broadcast success, where luxury is often louder than achievement. Yet here is a group of people whose fortunes rival the richest on earth, and they've chosen a different path, a quiet life behind thick doors, shaded terraces, and an unspoken rule: the less you show, the more you truly own. Today, we're lifting that veil to explore a hidden kingdom of wealth, the discreet lives of Germany's super-rich. Germany's wealthy aren't just lottery winners or social media stars chasing viral fame. Many of them are heirs to dynasties that stretch back through the country's industrial history, names quietly etched into balance sheets rather than plastered across tabloids. Think of the Quants, who control a major share of BMW, or the Henkel family, behind household detergents, cosmetics, and adhesives used around the world. These families built empires brick by brick, sometimes through wars and economic crises, always with an eye on stability rather than spectacle. Their wealth is often woven into the fabric of the nation itself. Automobiles, chemicals, machine tools, publishing, luxury goods, industries that fuel Germany's reputation as an economic powerhouse have been shaped by patient, long-term stewardship. Success here isn't measured by how loudly you can flaunt your fortune but by how well you can preserve it for the next generation. Assets are treated almost like heirlooms, passed down carefully, guarded from unnecessary risk, and nurtured so that children and grandchildren inherit not only money but responsibility. Yet Germany's elite aren't all products of history books. Over the past few decades, a new class of ultra-wealthy innovators has risen, forged in the worlds of software, biotechnology, green energy, and real estate. Founders of startups in Berlin's buzzing tech scene, or scientists who turned medical breakthroughs into billion-euro enterprises, are rewriting the country's wealth map. They bring fresh energy, global connections, and a taste for contemporary architecture or cutting-edge design. Still, even this modern guard tends to adopt Germany's signature culture of restraint. A young app creator who sells her company for hundreds of millions is more likely to celebrate with a private dinner than with a champagne-soaked yacht party. A real estate mogul who reshapes skylines across Europe may slip behind the wheel of an understated electric Porsche rather than a neon-wrapped supercar. Their homes might be sleek glass-walled villas overlooking a lake, yet they are often hidden behind discreet hedges, protected by silence as much as by security cameras. Why does privacy run so deep here? Partly, it's a cultural reflex born of history. Germany's 20th century was turbulent: wars, political upheaval, and periods when envy or anger toward the wealthy could become dangerous. Even in more recent decades, cases of kidnappings and high-profile crimes against rich families served as grim reminders that visibility can invite risk. For the rich, discretion isn't just a matter of good taste, it's a practical shield. And their spending habits? They rarely make headlines for splashing out on diamond-encrusted handbags or gold-plated yachts. Instead, Germany's wealthy cultivate what they see as quiet value. Many invest in vineyards in the Rhineland or Tuscany, not just as trophies but as businesses producing award-winning wines. Others acquire rare books, Renaissance sketches, or contemporary paintings, building collections that could fill small museums, yet they seldom advertise them. A billionaire might host a private viewing for a few curators or scholars rather than throw a glitzy gala. When it comes to travel, subtlety rules. Private planes are usually chartered, not owned outright. That way, there's no tail number tying a person's name to an aircraft, and no permanent crew learning the rhythms of a family's life. Yachts follow the same logic: renting one for a few weeks keeps leisure separate from public identity, and avoids the headlines that come with massive floating palaces. Cars are one of the few indulgences where passion sometimes overrules caution. Many of Germany's ultra-rich are serious collectors, hunting down rare Porsches, classic Mercedes Roadsters, or race cars from the golden age of Le Mans. Yet even here, restraint shapes behavior. Collections are stored in immaculate but hidden garages, often underground, behind anonymous doors, and only revealed for charity events or specialized exhibitions. Celebrations follow the same script of discretion. Lavish weddings or milestone birthdays do happen, but they're staged far from curious eyes: remote alpine chalets, private Baltic islands, or secluded country estates. Guest lists are tight, security is thorough, and social media is politely discouraged. The event may sparkle inside, yet to the outside world it barely exists. This quiet approach isn't about stinginess or lack of imagination. It's about control. Over personal safety, over reputation, and over how much of one's life is up for public consumption. In Germany, conspicuous consumption can be viewed as poor taste or, worse, an invitation to trouble. By staying off the radar, billionaires protect not only their wealth but also their peace of mind. For them, the ultimate symbol of success isn't an ostentatious display. It's the ability to enjoy extraordinary comfort without anyone watching. Privacy itself becomes a kind of luxury, rarer, perhaps, than the art in their halls or the cars in their garages. And in a culture where understatement is a virtue, the richest Germans understand that the finest things in life are often the ones no one else ever sees. What keeps this culture of discretion alive among Germany's ultra-rich? The answer is a blend of history, habit, and hard-earned lessons about what happens when visibility gets out of hand. Yet their secrecy isn't without controversy. Some argue that people with such deep influence should be more visible, more accountable to the public whose lives their companies and investments touch. Should they open up about where every euro goes, or how their empires are run? Others believe privacy is a basic right, that after building or inheriting a fortune, it's reasonable to want a life free from constant exposure. The debate is less about numbers than about values: transparency versus security, access versus peace. For viewers like us, their world is magnetic precisely because it's hidden. We live in a time where influencers broadcast every coffee order and every vacation snap. Against that backdrop, Germany's quiet elite seem almost like characters from another era, guarding stories of ambition, craftsmanship, and persistence behind closed doors. Their discretion makes us wonder, what conversations unfold inside those understated villas? What passions or struggles are tucked away behind drawn curtains? Next time you wander through a German city, sitting at an outdoor cafe in Munich, browsing an art gallery in Hamburg, or walking along the Spree in Berlin, look around. The person quietly reading a newspaper at the next table might own a billion-euro business, a priceless art collection, or a breakthrough biotech lab. And you would never know. That invisibility is not an accident, it's the outcome of a carefully built philosophy, one that prizes privacy as the rarest form of luxury. In a noisy world where status often depends on how loudly you display it, Germany's discreet billionaires remind us that influence doesn't always need an audience, and that sometimes the strongest power is the one exercised silently.